Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cookie Jar Podcast. I am Tom Mills, and as always, I'm joined by Sam Williams.
Hello.
And Sir Bruce Fitzpatrick.
Hello.
As always, if you guys want to get in touch, you can get us on @CookieJarGolf, and that's on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And we've had some really good questions this week, which we are going to address towards the end of the show.
Where's Cal?
Cal is not here today. I don't actually know why.
Sent his apologies, didn't he?
Yeah.
Long golfing weekend.
Long weekend.
Weekend in West
Long
Wales.
day
Was
out
it?
at the links.
Head wasn't in this today. I think he's had a lot going on. He's not fully brushed up on conversation topics. He likes to come in well prepped.
But we got a fully charged schedule for you today, and it's starting with, of course, with Azinger's comments on Fleetwood last week. Let's dive straight in.
Oh,
So I think we've got a little sound clip to play.
A lot of pressure here. You know, you're trying to prove to everybody you've got what it takes. And these guys know you can win all you want on that European Tour, the international game and all that, but you have to win on the PGA Tour. Westwood took offense to that actually yesterday when asked about that. You know, took 2 wins on the PGA Tour, but he said, I've won 44 times all over the world. Well, it's not the PGA Tour, though. And they know that, and I think Tommy knows that. It puts a little pressure on Tommy, but this is where they want to be, isn't it? They want to come here. They want to prove that they can win at this level.
I think that's absolutely
It's
horrific.
obscene,
When you
isn't
listen to it back, it is so shockingly
one of my
partisan.
favourite-
You know what's
one of my-
worse though is he's actually doubled down on it. Like he said, I don't know when that was recorded. Obviously, was it the
Sunday live.
Yeah. So clearly on the Saturday he said something of words to a similar effect to Westwood, who's called him out on it. And instead of sort of like rowing back on it or apologising, he's then doubled down. It's dreadful.
He's got halfway through saying it, and you can hear him go, I'm not sure this is what I should be
I'm in now.
saying.
I'm in now.
But I've been so deep, there's no getting out now.
I think my favourite part of it was you can win all you want on that European.
European
Yeah,
tour.
that's
trash
one,
over
whatever
there.
it's called.
It's
Shocking.
absolutely obscene. And it's really quite derogatory, really.
He's got absolutely slammed by the rest of the players for it as well, hasn't he? They've all gone in guns blazing.
But it did get me thinking about the Zinger himself, and I had a little look into his how he's performed in the PGA Tour.
Little character assassination coming up.
Well, no, not character assassination, but basically he's called out Tommy Fleetwood for going for the win. He could have easily gone for the middle of the green, 2-putt, gone for a playoff, but he went for the win, which is
To be fair, I think that's actually what he was doing.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he was
he's-
clearly taking on the shot. I mean, he could have.
He's going for the middle of the green. He's just pushed it.
Yeah.
no. He was definitely sliding one in. From
He was
the middle.
talking to Ian Finnis, I think is his caddy, isn't he? He was saying to him, I can slide one on the wind, and you could tell there was a little backwards and forwards between the caddy.
pin, just for people who didn't see, the pin was tucked right
Oh,
against
it's
the water.
full on right, and he was trying to shape it off
all
from the
carry.
left. Yeah,
and he was trying to shape it in left to right.
And Finnish said, just go middle of the green.
No, he was backing him up. Like, and I remember watching it with my wife and saying that's exactly what you want your caddy to hear. He was like, "Go for it, you've got the shot," but he just overcooked it and overcut it. I mean, it was just a minor miss.
And Tommy
but-
Tommy's
yeah.
stock shot is not fade.
No,
and he was sliding
exactly.
one in there. So if he was going to go middle of the green, he would have just drawn one in there. It would have all been good.
I don't know if that comment was before the last shot into the 18th or not, though.
No, it was after he choked it.
Was it?
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah. That's what it was all about. It was, he went for it and he didn't get it. Well, it's not like they were saying that he choked because it wasn't, this is the PGA.
I just think the comment shows a complete lack of awareness, would be my on a serious note. I thought it just complete lack of awareness.
Yeah, because the reality is there's a kernel of truth to what he says in that the PGA Tour is the strongest tour by and large. You've got people like McIlroy, Koepka, who started out playing predominantly European Tour, who've moved over and have got their homes in the States and are playing the majority of their events on the PGA Tour, and by and large the fields are stronger out there. But that's not to say that the European Tour is far beneath it, because there are still a significant number of players in that top 10 who play both schedules.
His last win was in South Africa, right? And I've got a funny feeling that was the wasn't that the one before the major sort of season finale? I've forgotten where they played the finale, but it was a massive event down at Gary Player's course.
Who?
Fleetwood.
Fleetwood.
Yeah, Fleetwood won down there. That was.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was a Rolex Series event, and it was without question a stronger field than the Honda Classic.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, they vary. These fields vary a lot week to week, and it smacks of. I mean, I've read a couple of different comments or analyses of Azinger's comments, and what some people seem to be suggesting is that he's been brought on to the commentary team to really sort of boost the profile of the PGA Tour and not even really mention the majors that much. It's just all PGA Tour. Jay Monahan or whoever the commissioner, I think that's the commissioner's name, has basically said you need to endorse the PGA Tour as much as possible.
Do you think it's a conscious move?
It's all about promotional advertising material, and I just think it's as you said, it's disrespectful. It's not really the extent to which he says the European Tour is just far beneath the PGA is not.
Well, the way
truthful
he was speaking is as if the European Tour was the Corn Ferry. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was like,
yeah.
It's the feeder. It's the feeder one to the PGA, and it's that.
It was a classless comment. I mean, I don't know where his stats are.
His stats. Okay, so I thought about it. I thought, well, Fleetwood, let's see if he holds himself to the same standard. So, Azinger won his first tournament on his 108th attempt. Took him 5 years on the PGA Tour. And it took him another 3 years after that to win his first European Tour event, which is the BMW. Tommy Fleetwood, his first ever non-major or non-WGC event, there was a fully sanctioned PGA Tour event, was 2018. So he's only been on the tour. This is his third year on the tour. And he's done 64 events. So to this point, I would say he's well ahead of Azinger in terms of
without doubt
where he is. And I can back that up further. So in the time that Tommy has played, he's had 4 seconds and 17 top 10s in the 64 events he's had. In the 5 years previous to winning his first PGA Tour event, Zinger had 2 seconds and 11 top 10s. I think Fleetwood doesn't need to be judged by Paul Azinger.
Yeah, and you know what I also think? It's actually just really ignorant what Azinger said, in that he's reduced it basically to saying that people struggle to win on the PGA Tour because it's the most prestigious and there's the most cash on the line. And Harrington, I think, earlier this week came out with a couple of comments just saying what Azinger said was so crass. And actually, for European players like Lee Westwood, Fleetwood, etc., probably the reason why they don't win more on the PGA Tour is because you've got a whole host of issues and variables you've got to juggle, like travel schedules, jet lag, how you deal with your family and when you're trying to play 2 tours. And to just reduce it to the money on the table, money on the line, and the prestige of the Honda just got to Fleetwood. It's like, no, that's such a one-dimensional.
Which is not true, is it? I mean, I think was a Shinnecock he shot absolute lights out.
Yeah, course record, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was equaled the lowest ever shot in the last round of a US Open. I mean, he's definitely not a choker.
And you know what? The thing is, though, from Azinger, it's not really surprising because I remember this time last year at the Bay Hill Invitational, when Molinari canned that putt on the last, he said, this is the biggest moment of Molinari's career. And it's like, he won the Open last year. And what are you talking about? And people went off at the time just thinking, this guy is just a totally clueless.
You think he just has a brain fade when he goes into Bay Hill every week? He just thinks, I've got to come up with something now. Around this Florida swing, I'm going to come out with some horrific chat.
Your one job as a commentator is to make sort of informed comments, and you've forgotten one of the 4 major winners of the previous year. Like, what a joke.
But you don't know whether in some ways that it's just trying to be a professional controversialist,
Well, there's a bit of that, I think, isn't there? I think,
Yeah.
And it does drive headlines, so let's maybe not give it any more column inches than it's worth.
Yeah. Well,
but I do think Fleetwood's definitely due a win soon. He played another great performance there that week. I know he's not made the cut at
is the streak over?
Streak's done.
That was our
Morikawa
kiss
is
of
now
death.
leading it.
Do you know what? Every time we say something good,
Once we speak, they choke.
maybe
We should start cheering Patrick Reed on a little bit.
Yeah.
Or maybe on this one we need to give Leash the one so McIlroy can actually finish it
I
off.
like Leash. Leave Leash alone.
But speaking of the European Tour, we've got a couple of interesting things going on in the Qatar Masters this week. With I think a firm favourite of the cookie jar is Peps and Pepperell's DQ. I mean, he is a great lad, isn't he? He's a great personality, but this DQ is
world class.
It's one of the
he's
best
one of the
DQs
greats,
you're gonna
Pepperell, but 2 DQs, isn't it? I think in 6 months.
It's one of the best DQ stories you're ever going to hear. So do you know? Have you got the ins and outs?
I think I've got an idea, but just run us through specifics.
So his partner incorrectly marked his score. Okay, So the total was correct. It was 71. He'd signed or his partner had him a 5 where he shot 6, and then he had him a 4 where he shot 3. But he picked up on it that you've written the wrong score down, even though the number was right. So he went to correct it, but he corrected the wrong number, like a 17th.
No.
Yeah.
So he picked up the error and then amended the wrong one.
So he's picked up the error and said, no, yeah. So then he scribbled out like the 17th hole instead and put a 3 and scribbled the wrong thing and then signed for the wrong card.
Jesus.
It's absolutely Eddie Pepperell.
I mean, you don't see that sort of thing happening in club golf, do you, Tom?
Got to run the listeners by.
I may have previous.
This story is particularly close to home for Tom.
It's a real close to home one. Was it? It's fairly recent. Was it Feb Medal? Feb Medal?
Feb Medal.
What happened?
Go into it?
No, let's not.
It was just a long and short.
Just imagine it was exactly the same as Eddie Pepperell, except Eddie Pepperell was Tom's playing partner.
And he was leading the competition at
And
that
he won.
point.
The difference with Eddie Pepperell is he don't think he was in contention completely on day 1 or day 2. This guy was home and hosed, well in the clubhouse as the lead.
And other stories on the European tour,
Changing subject swiftly.
Campillo winning the
5 playoff holes, was it?
yeah Masters over.
Did you guys watch it? I
watched.
I missed
yeah.
the playoff stuff.
The 18th is a par 5 for the members, par 4 for the guys on tour, and it was literally a 3 fest on that playoff.
I saw it. They birdied the first, birdied the second time round.
Yeah, then parred for 3 and 4, and then the birdie won it on 5. But it was just it was such high quality.
Who was he up
golf.
against? Drysdale, was it?
Yeah, 497 starts, no wins. So painful.
He would have been the first Scottish winner for some time, I think, on European Tour as well.
I haven't got those stats in front of
I
me.
haven't got the exact. I think I seem to remember
But it was,
catching that with you.
Well, they've got sort of Team Drysdale, don't they? So his missus is on the bag, and mate, those tour grinders that are out there, you really want them to turn one over once again. I was really, really rooting for him, but I mean, Campillo was solid down the last. I mean, neither of them missed a fairway.
It was pretty wide open. I was watching a bit of it this morning.
Yeah.
It was wide
quality.
open.
It's quality golf.
Where are they playing next week?
It's Kenya, I think.
I suppose big ones players, isn't it? But it's a massive win. Guy, congratulations, Campillo. Yeah, that's impressive stuff. 5-hole playoff, birdie 60% of the holes in that. I think that shows pretty strong metal.
Yeah, mentally you'd be completely exhausted after that, wouldn't you?
If you chuck 2 birdie 3s in on what is it? You said it's a long par 4, isn't it?
It's a very 520.
520 yard par 4.
Yeah,
You
it was
just
a birdie fest.
and you stick 2 3s on the card on those first 2, and you think still not got it done. I suppose both of them had done it, so they both must have felt a bit like sort of beaten at that point.
In the
Yeah,
first
and
2
Drysdale's probably just thinking, you know what? Like I birdied a couple of the playoff holes.
he did
What
nothing
else can I do?
He was absolutely grinding. So it was one of those ones as well where someone had like a makeable 8-footer on the first playoff hole, and then someone had like a 15-footer, and the 15-footer roll it in, and then you're like, fucking hell, I thought I was going to be having a putt for a win here. Rolled it in, and that happened on the second playoff hole as well. Came in on top of him.
Absurd.
It was
Insane.
It was proper. It was
Clutch.
good golf. And of course, the PGA Tour is at Arnie's place.
Arnold Palmer alert! Arnold Palmer alert! Who wants some Arnie Palmies?
So we've got.
That is dreadful.
Right, it's obscene. Is that off the other guys?
It is, yeah.
Mate, I love that film.
So we got Arnie's place going
Can
on.
we have that at the end as well, please?
I
That's
think
so
I'll just
good.
litter it on. We can do it as our break.
We can
as our
play that
break
as
noise.
much as we want throughout
We
the
could
pod.
I think so. We'll just litter it in. But we're through. We're recording this on a Sunday, so we've not seen the end of it yet. But it's all looking pretty tight. They got beaten up a bit on Saturday, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What's everyone's thoughts on the course?
I love it when it's that hard, and you see like tour pros.
It's
grinding.
clearly hard, wasn't it?
The rough looks really, really thick. Like even before the wind got up, was it on Friday when McIlroy's
Yeah,
taken a
thick.
couple
The sort of
out from under a
couple of
tree,
dungeons,
and he's
isn't it?
just
But, I mean, just look
made hard
impossible.
swings.
We've just seen Homer just hosel rocket one, haven't we? I think that's just gone straight up on the story.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
When you
it's
catch a
definitely-
shank that pure going right at a TV
flush.
camera,
It was
it's
absolutely
pretty
flushed.
rare. Yeah.
I mean, they were getting battered yesterday on that course. But you watch it and actually, I don't know, maybe it's just me, didn't look. Visually, the course doesn't look that hard because there looks like there's a lot of room off the tee. Granted, the rough's really thick. The wind was clearly up a little bit, but the flag was hardly bending sideways. But I think the greens just got so hard, so dry, so fast.
For our
Yeah.
listeners, me and Bruce are both staring at Sam. The best score, literally the best score that
It
day
was obviously
even
really
par.
tough, but it didn't look that tough, was my point. The course
From the
doesn't
comfort
look-
of your armchair with,
From the
with a
comfort of
beer
my
in hand, you're just
yeah.
thinking, you know what? I reckon I could do 72 round
I reckon
there.
I could break par
I'd
on
back
that.
myself there. Yeah. No, maybe 73. I mean, short game and stuff.
Ball
Still.
striker.
I don't know.
I don't know, mate. It's over 7,000 yards, tight fairways. Basically, if you're in the rough, you're going to really struggle getting to the green
And it
if
looked-
it's guarded by bunkers, and you throw in some wind and a load of water, and it's just like, well,
I mean, I'm on my own here,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
the scoreboard doesn't lie. Let's face it. So
maybe we
looks
should put it
good.
out to the listeners. Do a poll. Do our listeners think Sam Williams off the tips in those conditions could break?
Could shoot lower
could
than
break
Rory
par, could break
McIlroy.
par.
I mean, I can see this in being embarrassing. I'll have to fly out there and shoot 98 or something, and then, but
The other
Good
thing
tournament.
about the because the greens are firmed up. Yesterday it looked like if they pitched the green, like they couldn't hold it.
no, it wouldn't stop. You could see that they were going through every green.
Mm.
Looked solid.
I think McIlroy hit one in from about 180, and he hits that huge high flight. Like
Yeah.
no one can get the ball up to the heights he can. It's landed, and not even he could hold the green. It's pitched on the
Really?
front. It's just got no hope. But
But the easiest hole in the course, 16 par 5, which is also the Aon risk reward hole.
oh really?
is
You
just my-
love the
oh,
risk reward holes, don't
Fucking
you?
hate the Aon risk reward.
They just pick the most birdieable hole, don't they?
well, it's not a risk. It's £1 million into the pocket of someone, and they don't even care.
No, they're not even playing for it. They're not consciously
wouldn't
playing
know.
for it at any stage, are they?
It's just such a ridiculous thing.
Naked commercialism, just
You
invading our homes.
I've got a sneaking suspicion that it's largely due to sponsorship. I don't know what you guys think.
No, nothing to do with that. They
I think
it's all
Aon
about
have
the
just looked to
spirit of the
sandwich some
game.
more.
I just absolutely hate it.
You're not
I
a fan, are you?
absolutely hate the Aon risk reward.
And they have to keep plugging it every 15 minutes on the coverage as well. Every 15 minutes, we're at the Aon risk reward hole every time.
Do you reckon Aon will sponsor this podcast if we have a Ford shooters bumping into
Good
them?
lord, they seem to have enough cash knocking spare. We can probably
Yeah.
do it.
we could take a little bit out of the million and see where it goes.
So interestingly, though, this one's got quite a strong international showing. So sort of back to Zinger's comments from last week. Only two American winners since 2005 of the Arnold Palmer Bay Hill.
Really? Let me guess. Tiger and Matt Every.
Correct.
Matt Every.
Matt
What a
20
story
points.
that is there, hey?
So
7 under
hang
on Thursday.
So Woods won it back to back. Every's won it back to back. No other Americans won it since 2005. Always been international
No,
winners.
Every won it pretty recently.
Yeah, you did do back to
yeah,
back.
back to back. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, exactly. It just shows how wrong Azinger was again about the sort of lack of depth or lack of talent in the non-PGA Tour.
Well, and as of Sunday morning as well, you've got the top of the tree being Leishman, Hatton, McIlroy,
Sung Jae Im's up there as well.
Sung J.M.
Um,
Sung Kang had a bit of an explosion on the Saturday, didn't he?
Yeah, the swing looks a touch yippy.
Just-
don't
it's
know.
So
I don't want to go down the sort of
Bruce is the guy
vortex
about-
of
Bruce
Bruce's
is-
swing thoughts, but it jumps out of it, doesn't he? There's some way he jumps out. You can tell he's not.
He's channeling the inner Arnold Palmer finish, isn't he? That sort of helicopter thing he's got going at the end.
he's coached by George Gankus, and yeah, very.
Same guy as Matt Wolf, isn't it?
Yeah,
single
exactly.
plane.
But very single, about as far removed from single plane as you possibly get. Yeah, but there's quite an aggressive like drop and lurch in transition as he's trying to like shallow that.
Well, when you
that
look at
shaft
the
out and
speed
then
of the
create
club
some
coming
power.
back up to the top, the acceleration to generate from essentially a standing start, there's very little momentum he goes into the downswing with.
Mm.
Yeah, it never stopped Matsuyama though, did it?
Matsuyama looks about 10 kilos heavier and 6 inches taller though, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's got a bit more.
But he's lined
stick
up
on it.
so far left, isn't he? That Kang when he's swinging. I mean,
Is he?
he's lined up down the out of bounds half the time, and he's just like
He does a little bit for me of the Alex Norrens, the sort of move across it, like the left. It looks like he's trying to get the feeling that he's cutting the ball. I don't know.
Really?
I mean,
I mean,
Christ, he's a lot better golfer than all of us. So that we won't go too far into him, but it's he just exploded. He was right at the top, and he properly exploded, didn't he?
He actually played really well for most of that round as well. He made some fantastic single light scrambles.
Yeah.
Par was a good number yesterday.
And then just coming in, he sort of pooed the bed a little bit.
Well, he shot, on the 18th he went OB, didn't he? And then he reloaded into the rough, and hard from there.
He went OB on 18.
Yeah. Went
What,
left?
left?
OB, yeah.
I didn't even, how far left have you got to go to hit OB?
Like left.
Really?
Well, he's got the big old. He lines down the left, and he's got the big old sort of power fade, and he just power straight.
The commentators say double cross.
You double cross on that one,
Double cross.
which actually I've managed to get into my lexicon, but I don't think it's a good thing. I keep saying double cross on every time I swing.
Every
the club.
time I hit it left, you just say double
Double
cross.
cross.
Makes you sound like a better player than you really are.
I double crossed one in the medal yesterday,
Oh,
coming
just
down
don't.
18, had a good score going,
It's
double cross.
basically saying
It's
I'm
not all
trying to
about you,
take on a
Bruce.
shot that's harder than what I should be taking on. It's just a minor execution error as opposed to a pull, which any golfer can hit.
Anyway, so we're at Arnie's place, the king, and we were thinking about what makes him the king, and he is known as obviously one of the first major television personalities in golf, because he arrived around the time that television was becoming kind of every house has a TV, and during that time he won his 7 majors.
Yep. Well, he kind of had he was really sort of big man of the people, wasn't he? So Arnie's army were massive. He was just
But
he was it for popular golf, right?
in his
back
book,
the
he
day.
was always like, I was never going to go to the range and hit balls or make putts afterwards. My job was to go and meet the fans and sign autographs and stuff. He once found a ball for sale that was signed by Arnold Palmer that was going for more money than a signed, signed by Jack Nicklaus, sorry. That was going for more money than an Arnold Palmer ball. And he was like,
Not surprised
Because
because
he
more of
doesn't
them.
sign
I was going to say there's more in circulation with
because
this
he
name
doesn't
on.
sign any. But he's quality. So I'm reading a bit about it. Did you know Arnold Palmer invented the term Grand Slam?
No,
Yeah. So he won.
did you know that? So when people like Bobby Jones in the 30s did the Grand Slam, as we refer to it now historically, we're obviously picking up the two amateurs and the two respective opens in UK,
that was
UK
different.
and America. It wasn't referred to as a Grand Slam back then,
No.
or right?
No. And those 4 were the Bruce.
The Open,
Just said them.
the US Open. Yeah, we've got to give it the full
Well,
full
US
title.
Open,
The Open, the US Open, the Amateur, and the British Amateur.
right?
Absolutely. And then
Do you know what
obviously,
year he won them in?
33.
1930,
I was going to say 30.
I believe.
just added a 3.
Fuck.
But no, and it was after 1960 when he was going off to compete for the first time in the British Open, in the Open, that he said, I've got Grand Slam aspirations of my own. And they that thing was coined. The PGA was then put into that as the 4 that were the Grand Slam.
Anyone know where the umbrella comes from?
No.
So that's the bit that befuddles me.
Yeah, the multicoloured
Yeah.
umbrella. You see, Palmer's an interesting
I remember
one,
having
isn't
a
it?
golf
Because-
ball years ago with it on. It's like an Arnold Palmer golf. It's obviously been his logo forever and a day.
Do you think part of the legend with Palmer is that, as you say, Tom, he's very personable and kind of man of the people, wanting to engage with the fans a lot, and as a result, goes on to be a key part of IMG, founding IMG with Mark McCormack, which I guess is basically essentially the first sort of global sports or talent marketing agency or management agency rather. That probably plays into his legacy, or is
Well,
it
he
a
was-
key part of his legacy as well, not just his ability as a player?
The thing about golf is it truly is or certainly was a rich man's game. And I think Arnold Palmer was one of the first to go out there that was proper man of the people.
Yeah.
So really early on in his career, he won the US Am, I think in 55. And he got an invite to the Masters because of his US Am win. And Ben Hogan, apparently, according to Arnold Palmer, was said in loud in the locker room. So he would hear, why is this guy here? He doesn't deserve to be here. And then, because he's wasn't seen as one of the, the people that, the privilege that should play golf. He was a man of the people. He won the US Am. He earned his right to be there.
And
But
that's-
Hogan was
yeah.
the same, though. Hogan, again, was not from a particularly affluent background. In fact, the professional game in general was seen as
the working man's
a
game.
working man's game.
Because if you go right back to
Yeah.
the Francis Ouimet and you go all through the books, kind of really the amateur golfers were the gentry,
Yeah.
for one
And-
of a
and
better
the
term, and the
best players.
professionals were the
Yeah.
people that actually made the clubs, made the balls, and really were the the commoners of the
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
if that makes sense. And
And the amateurs were the more talented players who
Yeah.
won the big prizes, and that's obviously completely reversed now, probably because of people like Palmer, the money he brought to the game. A lot of people say, he was kind of like the forebearer to Tiger Woods in that IMG and that whole venture with Mark McCormack essentially brought in a huge amount of cash into the game, even before Tiger.
There's only a few people in the history that have transcended the game, and there's no question Palmer's one of those people, in my opinion. There's a huge legacy there, isn't there? And a huge amount of stuff done with charities and developing the game, and the guy has a reputation that's revered. So and it's a great tournament. It's good fun. I don't think the course, it looks absolutely spectacular. It's not one that I watch as on TV as a tournament and think it sets up brilliantly on the TV, because it looks relatively flat. It looks like a sort of a very kind of what you'd expect a Florida course to look like. But when you look at the scores they're shooting, clearly it's tough, and it's quite nice watching the pros struggle, I think, a little bit.
I'm just going to drag us back onto Palmer. Palmer had 20 hole-in-ones in his career.
Are these accurate, Tom?
Yes.
that just seems insane, doesn't it? 20
hole-in-ones. And in a senior Pro-Am, so this is a tournament, 1986, he had a hole-in-one on, I'm going to make up the hole, so let's call it the fifth. He had a hole-in-one on the fifth hole on the Thursday, on the hitting a 5-iron. On the Friday, has a hole-in-one on the exact same hole, exact same club. Two hole-in-ones, 2 days, same hole.
No.
Unbelievable.
That's rare.
It's barely rare.
There's a pin cut in a bowl or something.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
There's a legend. So anybody down on the North Norfolk coastline, so a place called Hunstanton. There's a good story that happened down there. I think it was somebody got a hole in one on the same hole. It's a relatively short par 3 on the back 9. Same guy had a hole in one 2 days on the spin. Same club, same hole.
Is it the 16th?
Something like that. It's
Because
about
it's
170 yarder.
the blind one.
Comes away from the water, back sort of slightly towards the clubhouse and inland.
If we've got any of our listeners that happen to know about this, please do get in touch and make sure.
100%. There's definitely some listeners down north.
There's a plaque, isn't there, down there?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Unbelievable story.
And there can't be many of those. If Arnie's done one and it's happened at Hunstanton, I can't think there's another 100 people that have done that. So you're in good company. If that's you, get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
We've had a question this week from one of our listeners talking about our hole-in-ones, which are the sum total of 0
we
for
had
me.
some questions in, haven't we? So, well, that's a pretty short answer
pretty short
from
for
me.
me, yeah, 0.
Zip. I'm not
When you
even going to
consider-
qualify it like any other golfer
When you
would
consider
either.
the sheer volume of par 3s that I must have played in my life, just pot luck you'd think to get one.
I don't know. I mean, to me, not really a big deal. Bruce?
I have had 2.
2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had one. I mean, the first one, is it legitimate? Is it not? Jury's out on that. I was 12 years old, playing off the ladies' tees, hit a 9-iron, 95 yards, and
That counts. I'll give you that.
bladed it, and it somehow managed to
you bladed
hit the
it.
pin.
Oh,
No,
that's
it got-
why it doesn't count. Yeah. Speaking of that, I'm going to jump in quick.
I
And
bet you were
then-
absolutely made up with
Oh,
that
that
when
was
you were
nuts.
12.
Yeah. And then a few years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, 8-iron, 185 downhill. This downhill hole just out in Spain.
Where were you playing? Spain.
Yeah. Downhill hole over a bit of water, and actually hit quite a good shot. Yeah. So.
Well, I've always wondered if my first hole-in-one came and I've, like you said, if I just completely bladed it and it's gone off, through the bunker, jumped out the top, hit a hill, rolled down, rolled in the hole, how would I feel about that?
I'd take it. I'd rather get a hole in one that way than get a hole in one on my own.
Interesting. What, just so people have seen it?
I don't know. The concept of having a hole in one. So to me, hole in one's not really, I really don't really care whether I get one or not. Played the game for a while. I've hit some reasonable shots into par 3s. Never hold one.
Reasonable.
Not good enough, apparently.
Clearly never put it in the bottom of the cup. Doesn't matter. Not the end of the world. But let's say I only get one in my life. The idea of doing it on my own, it's not so someone's seen it, but there's an element of enjoyment, isn't there, to doing it when you're with people. Like I said, when you're with your parents and you're 12 years old and you hold the 9-iron, I bet you were on cloud 9 for a week. Yeah. And I bet it was just like, I bet you were dining out on it every time you're going out and like your parents are telling people and stuff.
Well, you
doing
like
it on
do
your
the
own.
little frame the ball or whatever, or right on the ball, like
on your own. What are you going to do? Just walk in and go, "You're right. Oh yeah, I've just not won in on 6." Okay.
Oh, awesome. Are you telling that because you want to buy us a drink?
Well, there's
Speaking
this
of
huge
which,
thing
there
about
was a
buying
listener,
drink, isn't there?
Yeah, there was. We got a comment from one of our listeners actually on that matter, didn't we, Tom?
Yeah, we did. It was the whole thing about buying a drink if you get your hole in one. I mean, you do it on Club Champs Day.
Yeah, certain days it can get
You wanna
very
keep-
expensive.
Yeah, you want to keep it quiet, don't you? So I know our listener the message in said that his club, they just put whiskey behind the bar and it's like the hole in one whiskey, and when it goes in, the club pick it up and everyone just has a whiskey on the.
Yeah, I think that's quite nice.
It's quite nice, isn't it?
I think that's perfect.
I think that's very nice.
Because
touch.
otherwise, like, you get in a hole in one, it's like for Sam, who's never had one, it's obviously be the biggest moment of his life, even though he's saying he doesn't
Biggest
want one.
moment of my life.
Even bigger than the unborn
If that's
child.
the highlight of my golfing career, then it's been a wasted 60 or 70
Then
years
you're like
I've spent.
200, 300 quid out of pocket because you're just buying champagne for the rest
Yeah.
of the day.
I don't know. I think the idea is good, but whichever way, I don't want it on my own.
But
I'd rather scull one through a bunker, skip it through the water, over a ditch, circle it round off the back of the bunker and back down to the hole. I'd take that if I was in a 4-ball with my mates than doing it on my own, knocking around. I just wouldn't do it.
Just flushing one frozen road that goes in and no one sees
It's a
it.
10 foot of spin, just like raking back into the hole. No, thank you. What are the listener questions we have, Tom?
Well, before we do, if any of you got any good hole-in-one stories that you think deserve a mention, please do drop us a message. But one of the other listener questions we got was, if you just want to play one more round in the UK, where would you play?
Good question. I think it was
I think
England
we can
Golf
expand
Project,
it.
wasn't it? So,
I think we can expand it a bit and say maybe one place you've played and one place you've not played and you'd like to play.
oh, crikey. So one place I've played that I'd want to play again, for me, would be Formby. Only because I've played there once, and it was like one of those days where I played really well, and I thought the course is unbelievable there. I know we were a couple of listeners up in Formby around that way. I just absolutely fell in love with the place when I played it. I thought it was great variety, super kind of cool, traditional golf club, amazing course. That's mine. That's the easiest one for me. Bruce?
Yeah. If I only had one more round to play.
Somewhere you've played before.
Well, okay, slight modification. One more round or one more day?
Round.
Because I'm thinking with day.
Oh, go on. We'll give you a day.
Okay, there are a couple of little pockets I think that would just be incredible to spend a day in. So first off, South Coast or Southeast, all within about an hour and a bit's drive. You've got Rye, Royal St. Ports, aka Deal, Royal St. George's, all on that corner, which are pretty awesome. And then up north, similarly, kind of laid out in East Lothian. There's some incredible links tracks there. There's obviously Gillen, Muirfield,
Yeah.
North Berwick, Kilspindy. The list goes on.
And you're going to do all those in a day.
Yeah, longest day. You could get three. You could get
from the
3 rounds.
south-
in.
I've played golf with you, Bruce. There's no way you're going to get 36 in a day, mate.
I'll do 54. Speed up.
Tom, what are
I
you
reckon
going
those
for?
2 pockets though for me.
If I had one more round in me, it'd probably be a bit Hollingwell.
Yeah. Great course. Superb. Up towards Nottingham Way. Very
Yeah.
nice. Amazing.
Excellent track. If I got one, if I had Bruce's day, I'd probably try and get the Berkshire out and get the red and the blue.
Yeah.
But if it's just
36.
one round, it'd be probably Hollingwell.
Nice.
I think that's a quality track. When Sam and I played there, and he told me about the well, which is what is it? After the 5th or the 6th hole? The well, the Hollin well that's down at the side.
Oh, yeah, the Holy Well. So, like, there's a little sort of stream that you can kind of walk in. It's on about the 7th hole or something.
I
You
thought he was
kinda
taking the piss. I was like, you got to go drink.
Yeah,
from there
yeah.
now.
I took you down there and I was like, got a little flask out, filled it with water for you. I was like, hey, go have a little go on this. And you're like, nah, I'm all right. I don't want to
don't
get
really-
coronavirus here. And yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, so we need to just quickly jump on tracks you haven't played.
Ooh. what I haven't
Mine's easy.
played.
I'll just jump in because I've never done it. It's St Andrews, so it's got to be the one that you do, isn't it? The old course.
Sunningdale Old for me.
Bruce?
Somewhere way up north. So like, I don't know, Royal Aberdeen, Trump Aberdeen, or even further north than that, Dornoch. Royal Dornoch probably.
Dornoch.
You know
Yeah,
what?
That's
That would be the
incredible.
one.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
100%.
Have you played it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Really?
Fantastic. And outside, there's that place in Norway that I'm obsessed with. But let's not go down that rabbit warren today.
No, let's keep it in the
That's
UK.
one to come back to. I should
Last
say.
question was from Pricey Golfer. And Pricey Golfer wants to know, favourite place to play golf outside of the UK? Tom.
I really liked. So I had the opportunity last year to go to Portugal, and when everyone thinks about Portugal, they think predominantly of the Algarve. But we went to the Lisbon area, and we played a course called West Cliffs, which we had a bit of a bad experience because it was so horrendous. It was like 5.5 hours or something like that.
Playing with Bruce.
I was playing with Bruce, yeah. And there was no one in front of us.
I'm not going to have my name taken in vain like this. We played a very reasonable 3 hours, 10 minutes.
We played a very
yesterday.
reasonable 4 and 3/4
3 hours, 10 minutes in the
round.
medal yesterday, mate. That's not bad, is it? 3 hours, 10. I'm not going to be
Pitch was
tarnished with
notice
this
his
slow
voice pitch has
play.
gone up ever so slightly.
I'm not going to be tarnished with this slow play brush.
Voice got a little high there, Bruce.
West Cliffs, which is sort of near the Lisbon area, which
There's
is for me.
Lisbon, Qashqai Coast, that sort of place.
I'm not sure. It's the other way from Qashqai. You go kind of
Around that area, that's
that
kind of like where
area,
you go.
yeah.
Cool.
That was for me. Of courses I've played anyway.
Bruce?
Outside the UK or within Europe specifically?
Anywhere
wherever?
outside the UK, where's your favourite place to play a bit of golf?
Oh.
Not course, but just area. I mean, I'll go in with
I don't
mine
know.
while you're thinking.
I have to chew that one over.
So mine, lucky enough, went out to South Carolina last year. Just very cool. So chilled, so laid back. Just everyone kind of just walking at sort of like
And the
mile and
Americans
a half an hour.
do hospitality properly, don't they?
Yeah, it's lovely. Superb.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm plagiarising, but yeah, I
It's
probably
just
agree with
very
you on
cool.
that. South Carolina, even Atlanta,
Yeah.
going into Georgia and around there, it's just pretty chilled
Golfing
out, isn't it?
Mecca,
It's just,
it's great value as well,
Tough
and
to
it's
get
just
done.
amazing.
yeah, it's
isn't it?
nothing crazy, not crazy money, is it?
No.
But it's just
And it's just so much farther away from what I guess UK golfers are used to in terms of going on trips, because we're used to going to kind of really popular places like the Algarve, for example, which is really slow golf, takes ages to get round. You can have 5.5 hour rounds and pay 150 euros for the pleasure around some really average golf courses, whereas actually you can go out to places like that, enjoy a completely different way of life, and play in a completely kind of different type of course as well. You can play places like Tobacco Road in North Carolina, can't you, for like $120, which, for a course like that is just,
it's incredible.
It's the best value golf you'll ever play.
yeah. And Palmetto is another one that obviously has
Yeah.
come to pretty big recognition through people like Kevin Kisner, and just seeing. I mean, that is an incredible place, isn't it? And it's pretty laid back.
Cool. So I think that's all we got on listeners' questions this week.
Yeah, well, it just brings us neatly on to next week.
Yeah,
So we've
next
got-
week. Players.
With Tiger not there.
Sad.
Do we know why?
It's always a better tournament with Tiger.
Is there a
isn't
back
it?
thing? Is that why he's not there?
Just not going to be good for the Masters if he plays. It doesn't look good to me, that.
I just don't know how you could go into the Masters having played two
Nothing.
competitive events since
he
he's been
play the
back, and they were
Players
back in
last
like
year?
February, January time.
Yeah, he did play as it was a not much of a showing at Torrey Pines. I don't seem to remember. He was okay, wasn't he?
He drove it well. No, I think
He
he came
drove-
top 10. Came top 10 at Torrey Pines.
Yeah, okay, take that back. And then where was his other?
Riviera, which
Of
he was
course,
hosting,
yeah.
which would have taken its toll. I just don't think you could go that long, miss all of that competitive golf. You could do all the competitive training you want in your own backyard, but then going into the Masters, trying to simulate that,
I don't think this bodes well. I hope it gets better,
Mm.
but I don't think this bodes well at all.
In a way, it's tricky, isn't it? Because you can't imagine he's missing the PGA Tour's flagship event for anything other than a really serious
He
sort
would
of
want to play. I
reason.
genuinely
But-
think he'd want to play if he could.
yeah, but
He's
in
a
a way,
jester.
it kind of just ramps up the appeal of seeing him play and just how big the occasion is when he is back in action. Like, do you know what I mean? From sort of a marketing perspective, in a way, it's like when he does actually play an event, let's assume he plays 10 events a year or 8 events a year. Those 8 events all of a sudden just become even more popular on TV. Ratings go even higher, harder to get tickets, etc.
Like if he wins the Masters now, coming in out of Riviera as his last tournament,
Yeah, but to be fair,
that's just going to be insane.
Yeah.
Tiger's not taking percentage of gate fees and all that stuff, is he? You know what I mean? Like, I think he wants to be there.
No,
no,
it
he
does
does. No, he
amp it
does. No,
up.
he
I mean,
does,
I
definitely.
think it's just the secondary outcome is just clear. There's more hype when he does play, but I hope he does
And
kind
we
of
got
do it.
Rory winning there last year. He's obviously, I mean, he's been there or thereabouts. He don't think he's missed a top 10 this
The
season.
soundtrack's
I mean,
getting a little bit annoying with him, though, isn't it? It's like he's playing such good golf. He's in the top 5
We
week
think-
in, week out. I can't help but think. I don't think anyone has ever won the Players back to back. I think it's one of the few tournaments in history no one has ever gone back to back.
Well,
So, obviously, won there last year. He's coming in.
Let's
with
not give it the
form.
kiss of death. Let's not give it the kiss of
He's
death.
hang on. He's
So
coming
he's
in
gonna do
with form.
terribly.
He's coming in with form like nobody else on the PGA Tour. He won last year. No one's ever won it back to back. We're giving it the tip. You heard it here first. Rory is definitely now not going to win. We've now amped it up. It cannot happen.
Rory's not going to win.
The cookie jar boys have spoken.
Bit of reverse psychology, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, God. Anyway, we're going to be here for that next Sunday. We've got...
So we're having a late one next Sunday. We're going to wait till after the PGA, the players, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to certainly going to try our best. I'm slightly worried about Bruce's bedtime, but, we'll work around that. And then, we've got some brilliant guest episodes lined up and in the chamber. They're going live in a couple of weeks as well.
We did have a guest question that we didn't manage to touch on, which was about World Handicap System. And the reason we didn't is one of our guests who works for England Golf, and he's going to be dropping all the information about World Handicap System. So just wait for that.
Look
It'll be
forward
out
to
in
that then.
a couple of weeks.
Cool. So I think that's all we've got time for today, folks.
Until next time.
Go low.
Watch this.